This video is brought to you by Moft. So you've just got your new iPhone 16. First of all, congratulations. Today I'm going to take you through the first 25 things that you should do to help you get the most out of this phone. Now, these tips and tricks are going to help you find hidden new features, preserve battery life, extend your battery health, and maximize your iPhone 16's performance. But before we start, I am giving away this brand new iPhone 16 in Ultramarine. Now, for a chance to win, be sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment your favorite feature of the iPhone 16 along with your Instagram username, and then follow me on Instagram at @theonschudeboom, where I'll announce the winner on the 31st of October. Alright, so the first thing you want to do with any new phone is to check the battery health and make sure your battery is healthy. So to do this, we're going to jump into settings, and then we're going to tap on battery over here. And then you want to tap onto battery health. Now, you want to make sure that your battery health or your maximum capacity is set to 100% and that your cycle count is going to be very low. If you've bought your phone new, you want it to be perhaps at 1 or 2, but no higher than that. If it is higher than that, you may want to take it back to Apple. Now, this is also a very useful statistic to check if, say, you are buying a phone used, as this will give you an idea for what the condition of the battery is like. Great, so now that we know how to check the battery health, let's take a look at a new way to preserve the battery health, as in iOS 18, Apple have introduced a new feature that I want to show you. So first, we're going to go back one page here, and then by the way, also here, this is where you can turn on the battery percentage, so you can have a little number here in the top right of the screen, quite useful. But for the battery health preservation setting, we're going to tap onto charging. Now here we have two options. First, we have the charge limit, and secondly, we have the optimized battery charging. Now this first option, charge limit, that's the one that's new here with iOS 18, and this is essentially going to set a limit to how much your battery can charge. Now, why would you want to do this? Well, the lithium-ion batteries, such as the ones in iPhones, best charge at up to 80 to 90%. So you can actually set a limit to make sure it doesn't exceed that 80 or 90% mark, and this is going to help lessen the wear on your battery and help your battery last longer. Now, of course, the downside to this does mean that you will lose some of your capacity, right? Either 5 to 20%. So to show you how this works, you can take this slider here and then slide it across this line here to anywhere. The lower, the better. So if you have that 80% charge limit, that is going to be best for your battery health in the long run. And then of course, you can also bring it up to preserve more. Now, alternatively, beneath that, you do also have the option to turn on optimized battery charging. Now, this is one that we've had before, and basically what that's going to do is it's going to learn your charging habit. For example, let's say at 10 p.m. you plug in your iPhone before going to bed, and then you typically unplug it at 7 a.m. the next morning. What it's going to do is it's first going to charge from 0 to 80%, and then wait with the remaining 20% till closer to when you typically wake up and unplug your phone. This means that your phone is going to charge slower, it's also going to produce less heat, and in that way, reduce the wear on the battery. Now, you can only have one enabled at a time, either the charge limit or the optimized battery charging. Personally, I choose the optimized battery charging, as this will still help my battery last longer while still giving me full access to my battery capacity. And now briefly, I want to talk about the best way to charge your phone, as I get a lot of questions from you guys about this. So in short, the best way to charge your iPhone is going to be with a slower, lower watt charger via a wired connection. Now, the iPhone 16s do charge faster, particularly wirelessly with the new MagSafe, and this is great. And I'm not saying you should never use this. However, if your aim is to preserve your battery health and make sure it lasts as long as possible, use a lower watt charger. For example, say a 5 or 10 watt charger, and use that wired connection, as using a slower charge speed and a wired connection produces less heat, and heat is probably the #1 killer for your battery. So overnight, I like to use that wired lower watt charger, but then during the day, if I need a quick top up, I will quickly charge wirelessly or say with a faster charger. But most of the charging that I do overnight, probably the same for you, be sure to use a lower, slower watt charger when you don't need to charge fast. All right, that's enough for battery. I got a lot of battery saving tips coming up throughout this video, but for now, let's take a look at the camera control. Okay, so new to all the iPhone 16 models is this button here that you'll find on the right side of your phone, and that is called the camera control. Now, what you want to do is simply press this either from the lock screen or the home screen, and then if you press it again, you're going to open up the camera app. All right, first let me take you through briefly how to use this function, and then I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for the camera control. So first of all, you can go ahead and press it once, and that will take a picture. And you can also apply a little bit of pressure and then slide across this camera button, and that is going to allow you to zoom in and out of your photo. Now, you do have to apply a little bit of pressure. You can see that if I take my finger and just swipe across it, it's not going to do anything. You really have to apply a bit of force and then push, and that's then going to trigger that zoom functionality, or really any function that you assign to it, as if if you double tap it, again, slightly firm taps here, you do have the option to cycle through different functionalities here. So you can set, for example, your different styles, switch cameras, even change things like your exposure and your depth. Now, personally, I think zoom is going to be the most useful function for this button, but it is really easy to switch between them. And as you can see, this adds a new way to control your camera, and it's quite useful. Of course, it doesn't add anything new in the sense that you can already do these features here using your touchscreen already, but it is a really unique design, and I do think has its place for certain use cases. And like I said, I think the zoom and a way to take a picture with that mechanical click is quite satisfying. All right, so that's how to use the camera control. Now I want to show you two really essential settings that I changed for it to make it even better. So first thing we're going to do is to change which application you want to launch when you select the camera control. As some people may not use the camera app for your photos, you may take most of your pictures, for example, on Instagram, and then you may want it to launch that app. So what you can do is go into the settings app here, and then we're going to scroll to where we find the camera. And then we're going to tap on camera control. And then in here, you can choose which application you want to open when you press this button. So we can go ahead and change that to Instagram. And as you can see here, for example, I'm now going to press the button and it's going to launch automatically my Instagram and bring me right into the camera mode to quickly start taking a story. Right, so earlier when we were looking at the camera control, you probably recall I said that you have to sort of press and then hold before you're able to zoom. And this particular function I found a little bit hard to get used to, particularly because the amount of pressure that's required to activate that camera control. So there is actually a way to change the number, or rather the amount of pressure that is needed. And this is something that I highly recommend you do. So to do this, we're going to go into settings, and then we're going to tap onto accessibility. And then from that, we are going to scroll down to where we find camera control right over here, and in here we can change the amount of pressure needed to activate a function within your camera control. So what I've done is I've set this to lighter, and this makes it much nicer to use to zoom and to scroll on the camera control. So highly recommend you change that to lighter. All right, and then from the camera control, let's take a look at photos. Now, if you've opened photos on your new iPhone or after updating to iOS 18, you probably see something like this. It looks a lot more messy and a lot more busy than it was before. It has changed from a simple grid gallery view to having all kinds of other functions beneath it, and it's quite something to get used to. But the good thing is you are able to customize and sort of organize this to match what you want. So to do this within the Photos app, you want to scroll all the way down to the bottom here, and then you can tap on Customize and Reorder. And here you can not only reorder elements, so you can take your recent days, for example, bring it further down the list if you like, but you can also select or deselect many of these functions. For example, things like wallpaper suggestions or even trips, things that I don't really need to see, as I prefer to have my own albums or my own pin collections, and you can prioritize accordingly. And as you can see here, I can have exactly what I want showing, and then the rest I can hide. And for this next one, we're going to the lock screen, where we now have the ability to change the controls that we have on the bottom of the screen. As by default, you're going to have the torch on the left, and then we'll have the camera here on the right. But of course, because we have the camera control button here on the right, it makes it super easy and quick to access the camera. So we don't really need this control here to be the camera. And as you can see, I have set mine to the calculator. So to change this, what we're going to do is tap and hold on your lock screen. Make sure your phone is unlocked, like so. And then we're going to tap onto Customize. Tap on the lock screen, and then here we have the two controls. So you can choose, first of all, to tap the minus sign to remove it. You don't need two controls. You can remove both, or remove one of them. And then we can tap on the little plus sign to add in a new control. And as you can see, there's a large variety here to choose from, all the way from settings to even things like third-party applications. You can launch an application, even set up a custom shortcut. And you can also have various different controls you can see here, for example. So again, I like to have the calculator. I found that quite useful to have right here on the lock screen. And then once you're happy with that, go ahead and tap done, tap into it, and there we go. The new control is now set. Now, most of what we explore today is going to be software related, but one essential hardware tip I do have is to add protection and functionality to your iPhone 16 with Moft. And this starts with the upgraded invisible tripod wallet, the first 3-in-1 MagSafe accessory to seamlessly integrate a wallet, tripod, and stand. This right here is such a versatile tool. Let me show you. It can be set up in 3 modes: floating mode, which lets you have your phone raised, perfect for video calls, and then simply rotate to comfortably watch videos. Then there's vlogging mode, which provides a built-in selfie stick or camera stick for better grip while filming. And finally, stand mode is great for lower angle browsing or to use as an alarm stand while charging. What is also cool is that this newer version of the tripod will let you store up to 2 cards, and the wallet is also NFC compatible. Perfect for making payments on the go, and you get all of this in such a slim design that slides so easily in the pocket. And I just love how it all unfolds in one smooth motion. To complement the invisible tripod wallet, there is the Movas case, made from the same premium vegan leather Movas material, which actually outperforms genuine leather both in stretch as well as abrasion resistance, meaning it will last longer. The Movas case has a satisfying fine-grained texture, microfiber interior, and metal buttons for a premium feel that provides uninterrupted access to the new camera control for a seamless experience. It comes in a range of colors and is available for all iPhone 16 models. So to upgrade your iPhone 16 with Moft, be sure to head to the links in the description and use code DION10 for 10% off your order. And from the lock screen, let's take a look at the home screen where there's some pretty crazy new customization functions added to iOS 18 with the iPhone 16 here. And that is we now have the ability to actually change the color or the tint of your applications. So you can really go crazy with this and really make it very unique. So to do this, first of all, you want to tap and hold on any empty space on your home screen until your apps start to kind of jiggle like this. And then we're going to go ahead and tap on Edit. Then you want to tap on to Customize, the second option here. And here we have several new options beneath. So first of all, we have the option to tap on Tinted. And as you can see, look at that. It's then going to tint all of my applications to match sort of my wallpaper. From here, I can go ahead and customize this further. I can change the hue. I can change the opacity as well, make it lighter or darker. And if, say, I want to match the color specifically, I can tap on the eyedropper tool here and go to a very particular portion of my wallpaper to match it. And, well, as you can see, this is quite different. I never knew, or I never thought I'd see the day where iPhones could be customized to this point. And in this menu, we do have a few other options as well. You can also change between the light as well as the dark mode here. And we also have the option to enable large icons. And this is kind of cool as it also removes the text underneath the icon. So it gives you a very clean look. I actually kind of like this while also making the icons bigger, making them easier to press. Also, one more tip here with the home screen is we now have the ability to place apps anywhere on the home screen. So before previously, they always had to be in like a chronological order in this grid. That is no longer the case. So I can go ahead and take this folder and I can literally place it wherever I like. And the same goes for widgets as well. What is also neat with widgets, as you can see, if I go ahead and tap and hold on the widget, then tap on Edit here, again, entering that jiggle mode, we now have this new little arrow here on the bottom right corner. And this will allow us to very easily resize a widget if we like. So I can go ahead and make it smaller, make it bigger like that. I can make it 2 icons wide, make it 4 as well. And as you can see, that gives you really easy control and more customization abilities on your home screen. Speaking of the home screen, we also have the ability now to lock and also hide apps. So let me show you how to do this. Let's say we have an application that we want to lock. Let's say Tiny Garden, a very guilty pleasure of mine. What we can do is go ahead and press and hold on the application. I think you want to tap onto Require Face ID. Now, here we have 2 options. First, we have the option to require Face ID, and this means that when you open the application, let me show you here, that's then going to require Face ID to authenticate. Then the application will open. There we go. And the second option here is hide and require Face ID. So if I go ahead and tap that second option and authenticate with my face here, as you can see, the application is then going to disappear from my home screen. However, it is still on my phone. And the way to find it is to scroll all the way to the right up to your app library, scroll all the way down to where you have this hidden folder here. Tap on it. Use Face ID to authenticate. And as you can see, the apps will then reveal themselves. And from here, I can launch my game. And I want to take it over to iMessage, where we have a really useful feature finally coming to the iPhone, and that is the ability to schedule a message to send in the future. So to do this here in Messages, you are in iMessages, you want to first type out a message, then we're going to tap on this little plus sign here, then you want to scroll down to where you find Send Later right here. So we go ahead and tap that. We now have the ability to choose when you want this message to send. So let's say I wanted to send today at 7 p.m. So in, an hour and a half or so. Then we can go ahead and tap on the arrow here to send it. And as you can see, that message will now be in sort of a drafts folder until 7 p.m., which is when it will send. Now we also have the option to edit this message. If you want to change anything about it, simply press and hold. You can go ahead and edit it. So you can change anything you want. We can go ahead and mark that as well. And then if we tap and hold again, you also have the option to delete the message. But really useful to finally be able to schedule messages to send in the future. Oh, and also you may have noticed that this option will require an extra scroll. If you find yourself using this often, you do have the option to tap and hold within this menu to bring it up here to this first row. This way, when you press on the little plus sign, it'll be easier to access in the future. And while we're here in iMessages, there's one more thing I want to show you, and that is the option to customize your text further. So for example, I can go ahead and highlight a word, tap on the arrow here on the right, And then here we can tap on text effects, and not only can we make our text bold, we can make it italics, we can even do a strike through. We also have the ability to add an animation, so this way when it sends, I can go ahead and tap on send here, and as you can see, watch that little animation, there we go. So a fun little way to perhaps add some more emotion to your text. And this next tip is particularly useful for the 16 Plus or the 16 Pro Maxes, the bigger phones, but even for the regular sizes, this can come in handy, and that is the ability to access the one-handed keyboard. So to do this, you want to have this little globe icon in the bottom left of your keyboard. You want to press and hold that, and then here we have this bottom function. We can either set the keyboard, align it to the right or to the left side of the screen. Now I'm left-handed, so I'm going to have it to the left, making it easier with my thumb to reach the other end of the keyboard. This is great if you're, say, walking down a busy street and you quickly want to type out a message while you're walking. This can make it a lot easier to do so, again, especially on those larger phones. And then to make the keyboard full size again, simply tap on this arrow, and then we've expanded it once more. Also, if you are bilingual like me, you probably use multiple languages on your iPhones. I have English and then I have Dutch as well. But now you will notice that we also have the ability to customize, or rather to have both languages set to one keyboard. So here you can see I have English as well as Dutch. I can go ahead and tap on that. And as you can see here on the spacebar, we have a little NL and then an EN logo to sort of signify that it's detecting both languages. And this will allow me to start, say, a sentence in English. And if I want to throw in a couple Dutch words or quickly switch between the two languages, the keyboard is going to finally detect that and not send you down autocorrect or try to fix your spelling. It's going to detect that you're switching between languages. So this is super useful for all you bilingual people out there. Now let's take it over to Safari, where I want to show you a really cool feature, and that is the ability to hide distracting items off websites or even things like ads. So let me show you how this works. So here I've got this website open, and as you can see, I've got a couple banners here and prompts at the top, and let's say I want to hide them. Well, to do this, I'm going to press this icon here next to the URL bar. Then I'm going to tap on hide distracting items, and then I can simply tap anywhere on the screen for any section that I want to hide, and check this out. Tap on hide. Voila, they disappear. I love that super smooth animation. I can then go ahead and tap on done, and as you can see, that saves, and those things are now hidden from the website, and this makes everything much nicer. It creates a much smoother experience. And what is also cool is if I go ahead and refresh this page, as you can see, this will save and those pop-ups will not show again. Now, not everything you remove will be permanently removed. For example, this works on things that are static, right, that are permanent so long as they don't change. However, certain dynamic things on websites, they will refresh and then they will show again. So you really want to play around with this, but particularly for reading articles online, this feature is a lifesaver. Speaking of lifesaver, okay, well, that might be a bit dramatic, but you know how every time you get a two-factor authentication code, it goes into your messages list, and then before you know it, half your messages are just filled with those codes while you're just trying to find your friends? Well, you do have the option now to auto-delete two-factor authentication codes, both from your messages as well as from your mail. So let me go ahead and show you how to do this. So we're going to jump into settings, and then we're going to tap onto general, and then scroll down to where we find autofill and passwords. And then here we have verification codes, delete after use. And you want to make sure that this is turned on. This way, any future two-factor authentication codes that come in via iMessages or via your email are going to be automatically cleared from your phone. Super useful. Speaking of super useful, let me now show you the top 2 battery saving tips for your iPhone. These are 2 things that I've recommended time and time again over the years, and that is because they really work and they save you so much battery over time. And the first is to limit the notifications that are coming into your phone. So to do this, we're going to go into settings, and then we're going to scroll down to where we find notifications. And then here, what you want to essentially do is do an audit, right? Go through all of your applications that you have here. Chances are all these applications are going to want to send you notifications by default. And the reality is most don't need to. So what you want to do is go into an application. Let's say Apple Store is sending me notifications. You can go ahead and turn that off like so, and it's now never going to send you a notification again. Super great. It's going to save you a lot of battery over time, as every time a notification comes in, right, your screen turns on, your vibration motor goes off, as well as your speaker activating. And if you're getting over 100 notifications per day, which I know many are, this really adds up. And if you can reduce that to say a couple dozen, that makes a huge difference. Not to mention, it is also great to know that when your phone goes off, it is actually something important, let's say a message from a loved one or a friend, and not some application reminding you that you have items in your shopping basket. So again, my advice is to really go through and turn off all the applications that don't need to send you notifications and keep on the ones that do, for example, say messaging apps or banking applications, right? Things that you want to be kept up to date on, but the rest you can turn off. And a similar thing can be said for the second tip, and that is to audit your background app refresh. So to do this, on the main page of settings, we're going to tap onto general, and then we're going to scroll down to where we find background app refresh. And in here, as you can see, by default, most of them are probably going to be on, and you want to go through and see which actually need to be on and which don't. And as you can see, probably half of mine, if not more, I have turned off, and this too is going to save you a lot of battery over time. Now, I do want to say at the top here, you do have the option to turn off background app refresh for all applications. This is something that I don't recommend, as certain applications do need to run in the background to really work their best. For example, maps applications, certain workout applications, or even messaging apps. I like to have these always up to date, but other things like your shopping apps, utilities applications, even games, right? Things that don't need to be running in the background using your battery. All right, next I want to show you the new control center, as this is one of the things that's really overhauled here with iOS 18, and on the iPhone 16, it looks stunning. As you can see, I've already kind of changed mine. Now it basically comes in multiple pages. You have these three icons here on the right, and you can cycle between them, as you can see. So we have a dedicated page to your system controls, your music player, and then sort of a general overview page, and this is highly customizable. To customize this, what you want to do is tap and hold on any of the empty space, sort of like your home screen. And as you can see, all these icons can be removed. They can also be moved around, so they don't have to be in a grid form. As you can see, I can bring them down to wherever I like. There we go. And I can also add in a new control. So a couple of the ones that I like to add, first of all, for example, would be the calculator. Again, a super useful way to quickly get access to that here. Let me find it. There we go. The calculator, simply tap it, and then it will be added. And one more that I really like, or that I'm really excited to actually check out, is the brand new, where is it? There it is, vehicle motion cues. Now, if you use your phone in the car like I do, and you may also be prone to motion sickness, if say you're going up a really windy road or something, or stop and go traffic, this here is going to give you on-screen cues, which are essentially little black dots that are going to move in the direction in which the car is moving. And this is meant to help trick your brain, or basically tell your brain that you are moving, and it's supposed to help reduce motion sickness. So this here is a toggle that I haven't had much of a chance to experience yet, but I'm curious to try it. So go ahead and add that like so. What is also cool with these controls is you also have the option to resize them. So we have that same little bar here on the end that we also saw on the widgets, and we can go ahead and drag this out to make a widget larger or smaller as well. So it's really highly customizable, and I think that's great. Even the other pages, you can go in and change this as well, add or remove controls freely. And this I think is really great because it's going to add more functionality to the control center. And then once you're done, we can go in and tap anywhere to save, swipe back home, and as you can see, the control center has now been saved. Also up here, we have this power button here, so if we go ahead and tap and hold on that, it's going to allow you to quickly turn off your phone. Speaking of turning off your phone, a button that doesn't do that is the action button. So if you're on the iPhone 16, that is going to be new to the iPhone 16 models, as this was previously only on the Pros. And this here is a super useful button to quickly trigger a function on your phone. And as you can see, I have set mine here to the flashlight. So let me go in and show you how to customize this. So to do this, we are going to go into settings, and then over on the main page of settings here, let's quickly go back. We're going to scroll down to where we find action button. And then here we have this really cool animation here. We have the ability to change the functionality of this button. So you can change this to the silent mode, which is what's going to be by default, as of course that's where the silent switch used to be. We can also change to things like the camera. We can even have a custom shortcut, and this is great because you can pretty much trigger any function, like even a smart home appliance, for example. But I like to have it set to the torch. Find that super useful to always have in my pocket. Now, if you have the torch or really any other function other than the silent mode set there, the way to trigger your silent mode is going to be with the control center, and you can tap on this little bell icon here. Now, by default, you will also have a permanent indicator that shows in your menu bar. Now, I'm someone who always has my phone on silent, so I don't need that indicator there, as again, my phone is always going to be on silent. So to hide that indicator, what you can do is in settings, jump over to sound and haptics, and then you can simply turn on or off the show in status bar. So see, that's what you would have. We'll go and turn that off. That is now hidden, and it looks more clean. And this brings me to a really important part of the video, and that is going to be looking at some essential security settings that you want to make sure are set right. So in settings, first of all, we are going to jump into where we find Face ID and passcode. Then you want to type in your passcode. And then up top here, first of all, we have the ability to choose what you want Face ID to do or not do. And Face ID is very secure, so I highly recommend you use it for all of these functions. And then secondly here, beneath that, we have the ability to turn on require attention for Face ID. Now, this is essentially going to be one additional layer of security where not only is Face ID going to require to see your face to authenticate, but it's also going to require that you look at your phone. So if say you're trying to scan your face, but your eyes are looking over to the left, it's not going to unlock until you actually look at your phone. So again, one additional layer there that I highly recommend you turn on. Now, secondly, or thirdly rather, the most important section of this security section of the video is going to be this right here. This is the allow access when locked page. This here is basically going to determine what you want your phone to do or not do while it is locked. And I don't know about you, but I don't want my phone to really do anything important. For example, if my phone is locked, I don't want anyone to be able to go to my notifications, activate my Siri, access my wallet, or return calls or plug in accessories. So what I suggest you do is turn them all off to start with and then individually go through and see which are important to you. So for example, I have my lock screen widgets on. This one's okay. I don't mind if my weather widget updates. Same thing with live activities. That's going to be for the Apple Watch, for my activity rings. And the last one there is also for home control. This is useful for, say, smart appliances, but all the other ones I turn off. And we've now made it to the bonus quick tip section of this video. So here we go. First of all, you have the ability to quickly scroll to the top of any page by simply tapping on the top of your screen. As you can see, that's going to quickly bring you back to the top. And next, to quickly cycle between the pages on your home screen, you want to simply swipe across this dot menu or the search word here on the bottom of your home screen to quickly go between your application pages. And this is probably my favorite. To quickly switch between your open applications, simply swipe across the bottom of the screen to quickly go between your open applications. Super useful. And by the way, this also works on iPad. Next, in the control center, there are certain controls you can also tap and hold to make larger. For example, your timer, you can go ahead and tap and hold on that to quickly set a timer right from the control center without having to launch the application. Now, you probably know to zoom in and out, you can use 2 fingers to pinch, but there's also a way to do a one-handed zoom, and that is to double tap and then hold. So double tap, and then you can hold up and down, swipe up and down rather, to zoom in and out. So 1, 2, and then hold, zoom down or scroll down to zoom in, and then up to scroll out. This is super useful, particularly on maps if you want to quickly find a location or zoom into something and you only have one hand free. And lastly, you can enter lockdown mode by pressing and holding the volume up and the side button. And as you can see, that's then going to trigger the power off menu, tap on cancel, and currently Face ID is going to be disabled and it's going to require you to enter your passcode to unlock your phone and to exit lockdown mode. And there you have it. There are the first 25 things that you should do with your brand new iPhone 16. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And as always, I will leave the purchase links down in the description. And if you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend you check out my 25 iPhone settings to change video, which I'll leave linked on screen right now. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.